On today's show, Tiff sits down with Matthew Nadler, editor of the Duxbury Clipper, and we talk about upcoming things to do in our South Shore towns. I'm Elizabeth. Let's get started. The Duxbury Clipper has been Duxbury's hometown newspaper since 1950. Editor Matthew Nadler sat down with Tiff Phillips to talk about the paper, his personal career journey, and the future of community media.
All right, we're here with Matthew Nadler, the editor for the Duxbury Clipper. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I got to know, what's your background? Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in North Jersey. I grew up in Montclair, New Jersey. I went to college at Clark University in Worcester, and then went to graduate school for journalism at Boston University. And ever since I moved up to Boston, I've been living in Massachusetts. I sort of discovered, my interest in journalism probably started at Clark. I actually took a course with the Alan Lupo, who was a very well-known columnist for the Boston Globe. And that sort of sparked my interest. And, I went to BU, got my degree, also met my wife. And from there, I worked in journalism a bit, and then I actually took a bit of a detour working in technical writing. And eventually I came around and was hired, I'm going to say about 20 years ago, I'm guessing. Sorry if I don't remember the exact date, to work at the Memorial Press Group papers that were located, like the old Colony Memorial, that was located in Plymouth at the time. I then stayed with the company for a few years when they merged and became part of the Gatehouse Media empire, as you might say. And I was the editor of papers in Halifax and Duxbury there, and also in Pembroke. And I was let go from that job. I was let go from that job, and I started my own website here in Plymouth called the Management Current, which I managed for about 7 years. And then I decided to shut that down, and I was hired as the editor of the Clipper.
Very cool. So can you tell us a little bit about the Clipper? It started in like the 50s, right?
Yes. The Clipper was founded by John and Bobby Cutler in 1950, May of 1950. The story goes, John wrote a book about it, which I was required reading for new employees. And the story goes that he and Bobby were playing bridge with some friends, and one of the friends complained that they didn't know what was going on in Duxbury. And from there on, they started a newspaper. And it's been going on. It's remained in the Cutler family ever since then. And it's been going strong for over, 60 years, or 70 years, actually.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Well, think about 50. We had plans for a big celebration in 2020, but
what happened in 2020 that it didn't happen? Just kidding.
There were some things.
So what was it like to become the editor of this kind of established?
It was really exciting. It was. I had worked for. I was familiar with Duxbury because when I was working for Memorial Press Group, or then working for Gatehouse, I was the editor of the paper that they published in Duxbury called The Reporter. So I guess we sort of thought of ourselves as the Reporter as the upstart paper, But when I came to the Clipper, gave me some insight into what Duxbury was like. When I came to the Clipper, it was really interesting to be really in charge of a newspaper that really is an institution. It's one of the really nice things about working for the Clipper is people do really appreciate their newspaper. And people always tell me, I love the Clipper. We love the Clipper. And it's really nice to be part of that, and provide people with that sort of information.
So what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, it kind of depends on the day.
Right.
We go to press on, we come out on Wednesday. We go to press on Tuesday. So my job includes both writing. I'm also one of the main reporters of the paper. So I might be covering a story at night especially. I do a lot of the government meeting coverage. Editing, we have a number of freelancers who write for us, and I might be editing their material. I could be any sort of press release, community announcement that comes in goes through me. So I'm reading and editing those. reading letters to the editor, obituaries, almost. So it's a combination of editing material that's come to me, assigning stories. That's also important. Let our writers know, here's something I think I'd like you to work on, or same thing with photographers. Assigning our photographers stories, or going through their pitches also, and writing my own. Either being at a meeting in town or writing a story. That's and I can't say it's like a. And last but not least, and this is vitally important, the actual process of putting reviewing the pages as they're being assembled. Mondays and Tuesdays we're really focused on actually assembling the paper. Making sure everything's there. So that's really sort of been, from one day to the next. And then, Tuesday afternoon, put it on the website and take a deep breath and do it all over again.
I mean, that's exciting. It's a never-ending, busy.
It is. And you never know what's going to happen. There are weeks where everything explodes, or not being a little dramatic. And there are weeks where, it's a quiet week and you're, just sort of keeping people up to date with the, standard things.
So what were some of your goals in coming to the Clipper? What did you want to bring to the paper?
I think one of the good things about the Clipper is it was an established paper. It had, the Cutler family had established sort of the template of what they want. The editors who had worked there before me and the reporters all found it. So it was almost like it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
I think I'd say that, it's a hard question. I think that really just to maintain the quality of the paper, find ways to improve sort of maybe in some ways I've wanted to improve some of the bigger picture coverage, issues like the environment, or things like that. But really, it was really just becoming the editor of a well-established newspaper, which hopefully, it's going to still be there. When I'm not there, it'll still be there. And, it'll be there for a long time.
So we're both community media.
Right.
Why does the world need the PAC TVs and the Duxbury Clippers of the world? Why is hyperlocal coverage important?
Because no one else is going to do it. One of the, it's to go back to the original story about the founding story of the Clipper. The specific complaint that this bridge game, according to David Cutler's book, was one of their guests didn't know about a church social, and that sounds a church social, whatever. It's not like an important news story, but it is important. It's important that people in their community know about the church socials. It's important people know how much money their government is spending. It's important that people know about what the kids at school are doing. It's also important to know about the church social. And, and I think right now there's so many places where people don't really have an idea of what's going on in their community. And, they don't know what's going on in their community, and that has a really detrimental effect on civic life.
So along that line, we both know that local news and journalism in general is in a period of immense disruption.
Good word for it.
What do you see as the future is this a working model?
The Clipper?
For maybe print media in general.
The Clipper is one of many working models.
Yeah.
I think that, as far as being a print newspaper, I think there's still we are a traditional weekly advertiser-supported newspaper, just like there used to be all over the country. And that's an important thing about the Clipper is we have a great base of advertisers. We have people selling our advertising. We have businesses in our town, mostly in our town. There are a few that aren't in Duxbury, but they still advertise in the Clipper. And I think that really that's still a good model. But at the same time, I tried my hand at an online newspaper, I don't know what to call it, myself. And, in a lot of places, that's probably is a good model which can work. That's one of the great things right now is with everything going on, there are a lot of people out there who are trying things, they're experimenting, with websites, with their, I think, a couple of people are starting up newspapers in the last couple of years on this area, or in New England in general. So I think the Clipper is one of many very good, successful working models.
What keeps you here? What keeps you in journalism? Is it your passion? Is it something that you love?
It's just fun. I mean, it's great to be. I'm kind of a civic politics government nerd, and it's great to know about what's going on myself, and having an idea of having I don't write many editorials, but have my own opinions about things. But really to just it's something I've really always enjoyed doing. It was. I thought it was a fun way to make a living when I was back in college, and it really, has ups and downs, but in most part, it's still a fun way to make a living.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I love to end this with this last question. What do you think the future holds for you?
Well, I'm old enough to think that the future might hold a retirement. To be honest,
that's a good goal.
Right now, my future is to be the editor of the Duxbury Clipper. I don't really necessarily have a plan beyond that. Things could change. Either, like I said, retire, But right now, it really is just to sort of be where I am.
It's nice to be content in where you are and to kind of live your best life and be very happy with this life. I mean, and you have a very interesting job, and it was so great to have you here today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
The Duxbury Clipper does have a print edition. To subscribe or check out the e-edition, visit duxburyclipper.com. The Yoga Connection of Plymouth and the Pembroke Public Library have partnered to offer you Yoga at the Library every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Led by Barbara Ward and other instructors, all level of knowledge and ability are welcome. Aside from building strength, a regular yoga practice will increase your sense of calm and mental clarity. To drop in and try it out, sign up for one class at only $12. A 4-class registration is $45. Visit the Pembroke Public Library website to learn more. If you have computer basics down but would like to learn more about creating a spreadsheet, organizing your files, or composing a Word document, the Kingston Public Library is offering 3 intermediate computer classes during the month of February. Intro to Microsoft Word, Excel, and using files and folders will take place on Thursday at 2 p.m. on February 9th, 16th, and 23rd. Classes are kept small to provide for more individual attention, so advanced registration is required. For more information, contact reference librarian Stephen Miller at 508-585-0517, extension 6272, or email smiller@kingstonma.gov. Folk music duo Andy and Judy Daigle have been performing together since 2009 and are known to put the fun back into folk music with smiles and sing-alongs enhancing the sense of community at their shows. They perform regularly in New England and beyond, and on February 12th will be at the Duxbury Free Library to play for you. Enjoy their diversity of influences rooted in a foundation of traditional and folk music expressed with multiple instruments and Andy's deep baritone harmonizing with Judy's evocative alto. The concert will run from 2 to 4 p.m. in the Merry Room as part of the Sunday Arts and Culture series. Visit the website to reserve your seat. Make new friends and wear some fancy shoes on February 21st bowling night with Plymouth Pride. You'll meet at Kingston 10 Pin at 7 Tarkiln Road at 6 p.m. and bowl until 9. If you have time to spare, this fun event might be right up your alley. Visit the Plymouth Pride Facebook page to learn more. The enslavement of fellow human beings is inextricably linked with the founding of the United States and woven into the fabric of our new nation, shaping the way of life in both the North and the South. Like all of New England, the town of Duxbury has a complicated history and relationship with the institution of slavery. Enslaved people lived and worked in this community during colonial days, and after slavery ended in Massachusetts in 1783, Duxbury's economic ties to Southern slavery continued. On February 16th from 1:30 to 3 p.m., Join Duxbury Rural and Historical Society archivist and historian Carolyn Ravenscroft at the Duxbury Senior Center. Learn and listen together as she presents the history talk, Bondage and Complicity, Duxbury's History with Slavery. Ms. Ravenscroft will explore the myriad ways Duxbury's 19th century wealth was tied to enslaved labor and the lived experience of those enslaved. Visit duxburyhistory.org to register. The picturesque piece of coastline 10 miles south of downtown Plymouth, known as Ellisville Marsh, has been a farming and fishing community for hundreds of years. The estuary and salt marsh are home to a diverse array of wildlife and a range of habitats, including low-tide mudflats, a saltwater pond, intertidal zone, and fields of tall marsh grass. As the late 20th century saw most agricultural and fishing activities decrease, the import of the blockage of the marsh's inlet became apparent as ecological equilibrium had been lost. The Friends of Ellisville Marsh was established in 2007 to address coastal erosion, revive tidal flows, and revitalize fisheries and wildlife in the face of climate change. On February 14th, from 7 to 8 p.m., join Friends co-founder, member, and author Eric Cody at the Plymouth Public Library for a talk about his new book, Rescuing Ellisville Marsh, The Long Fight to Restore Lost Connections. Eric is a longtime Plymouth resident, serves as chairman of the town's Water Conservation Committee, and is a graduate of Amherst College, Harvard University, and is a former naval officer. Mr. Cody's talk will include his work with the Friends of Ellisville Marsh and the project to revitalize the salt marsh. Visit the Plymouth Public Library website to register. Preschoolers aged 3 to 5 are welcome with their caregivers to the Pembroke Public Library's free STEM playgroup sessions, featuring science, technology, engineering, and math-based play. Visiting educators from the South Shore Family Network sponsor these playgroups, taking place on Mondays from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. on February 6th, 13th, and 27th. Register via the library's website or call to reserve your child's spot at 781-293-6771. And that's what's good and good to know on the local scene this week. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. We are grateful for your attention. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe to the local scene here and share everywhere. Thank you, friends.